Okay, so now we're in chapter 8.5 and we're going to be looking at equations and problem solving. Our first objective is writing phrases as algebraic expressions. The following table lists English words that can be written as algebraic expressions or symbols. So for addition, we have sum, plus, added to, more than, increased by, and total. These all mean add, and you would use the plus sign. Subtraction, we have difference, minus, subtraction, less than, decrease by, and less. These all mean minus, and you would use the minus sign. Multiplication, product, times, multiply, multiply by. The word of in English means multiply in math, double, triple. You can also include twice, which means the same as double. That's 2 times. For division, it's quotient, divide, shared equally, among, divided by, and per. And then the equal sign, we have equals, is equal to. The verb is or the verb was means equal, yields, gives, and then amounts to. You can find this table in your book on page 595. So now let's look at some examples. So in our books on page 600, we're going to do the following problems. Let's start with number 5. The instructions say, write each phrase as a variable expression. Use X to represent a number. So for number 5, we have 20 decreased by a number. For the most part, these are straight translations. You can read them word for word starting from the left. We see 20, so we're going to put the number 20. Decrease by means minus. And then when you see the phrase a number, you're always going to put the variable x. So this says 20 minus x. For number 7, we have the product of 512 and a number. Well, product, that means multiply. So the two things we're multiplying are going to be 512 and a number. So we can write it as 512x, or you can write it as 512 times x. Number 10, we have the quotient of 6 and a number. Quotient means divide. So we're going to divide 6 and a number. 6 is going to go on top, so we're going to have it as 6 divided by a number is going to be x. You can write it like this, or you can write it 6 divided by x. And then for number 12, it says the difference of twice a number and 4. So difference means subtract. And the two things we are subtracting would be twice a number and 4. So let's start with twice a number. Twice means 2 times, so 2 times. And then a number is x, so that means 2 times x, or 2x. And then we're going to minus 4. So this is 2x minus 4. Then in number 14, it says 5 subtracted from a number equals 10. This time, because we have the phrase subtracted from, we actually have to reverse the order. So phrases such as less than, fewer than, and subtracted from, you actually reverse the order. So the 5 is going to switch with a number. So a number is going to come first, which means it's going to be x. And then subtracted from means minus 5. If we had an example, and let's say it said 3 subtracted from 5. Well, 3 subtracted from 5 should be 2. And we know that because we did 5 minus 3. So if you see the phrases subtracted from, fewer than, less than, you need to reverse the order. For number 18, it says 2 added to twice a number gives negative 14. So again, straight translation, there's a 2. Added to means plus. And again, twice a number, that means 2 times x. So we're going to write it as 2x. And then the word gives means equals negative 14. So let's continue. Now we're in our books on page 601. And we're going to look at problems 33, 37, and 39. The instructions say, translate each to an equation, then solve the equation. So for number 33, it says the difference of a number and 3 is equal to the quotient of 10 and 5. So first we're going to start by writing an equation. Remember, it's a straight translation for the most part. I'm going to go back a slide. The only things we need to be careful of, or the phrases we need to be careful of, are less than, fewer than, and then subtracted from. This one just says a difference, so I know I'm going to be subtracting. What am I subtracting? Well, a number and 3. So a number is going to be x, and we have minus 3. Then it says is equal to, well, that means the equal sign. Equal to the quotient. Well, quotient is dividing. So what are we dividing? 10 and 5. So that's going to be 10 divided by 5. Now we get to solve for the number. So we have x minus 3 equals 10 over 5 is 2. To solve for x, we need to move the minus 3, which means we're going to do the opposite. So we're going to add 3 on both sides. And we get x equals 5. And we can check it by plugging it back into the word problem. It would say the difference of 5 and 3 is equal to the quotient of 10 and 5. And that is true. Number 37, it says 40 subtracted from 5 times a number is 8 more than the number. Find the number. So this time we see the phrase subtracted from, which means we need to reverse the order. What came first actually goes second, and what came second actually goes first. So the 40 is going to switch with the 5 times a number. So 5 times a number comes first. So that's 5 times x. And then we'll have the minus. We'll minus 40. And then it says is, that means equal. 8 more than, so that's 8 plus the number, which is x. And it tells us to find the number. So we're going to write this as 5x minus 40 equals 8 plus x. We'll draw the line down the equal sign. We have variables on both sides, so let's get our variables together. In order to move this x, we're going to subtract x. And we're going to subtract x. So now we have 4x minus 40 equals 8. Now we have x on the left side, so we need to move everything on the left side over to the right side. The first thing we're going to move is the 40 because it's subtracting, so we're going to add 40 on both sides. And we have 4x equals 48. And then the last step is to divide by 4. So x equals 12. And of course you can check it by plugging it back into the word problem. Now number 39. It says 3 times the difference of a number and 5 amounts to the quotient of 108 and 12. Find the number. So let's start by writing our equation. So 3 times, this means 3 is multiplying, so it's going to be 3, then a dot, that means multiply. The 3 is multiplying what? The difference. Because it says the difference, and we know we're going to be subtracting two things, you need to make sure you're using parentheses. If it would have said 3 times the sum, again, I know I'm going to be doing 3 multiplying something. This time it's the sum. I know I'm going to be adding two things together, so again, you would need to use parentheses. The sum would go inside your parentheses. For the problem number 39, inside the parentheses is going to be the difference. Now, what are we taking the difference of? A number and 5. So a number is going to be written as x, and it's going to be x minus 5. Amounts to means equal. Quotient again means divide. What are we dividing? 108 and 12. So it's going to be 108 divided by 12. So we have 3 times parentheses x minus 5 equals 108 divided by 12, which is 9. So now we can solve for x. The first thing we're going to do is go ahead and distribute 3 on the inside. And we get 3x minus 15 equals 9. Now we're solving for x, so let's go ahead and move the minus 15. Since it's subtracting, we're going to add 15. And we get 3x equals 24. And then we'll divide by 3 on both sides. And we get x equals 8. So now we moved on to our next objective, which is using problem-solving steps to solve problems. Step 1 is to understand the problem. We can choose a variable to represent the unknown. Step 2, translate the problem into an equation. And then step 3 would be to solve the equation. And last, step 4 is to interpret the results. You can track the proposed solution in the stated problem and state your conclusion. So in our books on page 602, we're going to look at problem 45. It says a falcon, when diving, can travel 5 times as fast as a pheasant's top speed. If the total speed for these two birds is 222 miles per hour, find the fastest speed of the falcon and the fastest speed of the pheasant. So step 1 was to understand the problem. So first, let's go ahead and figure out what we need to find. We're finding the fastest speed of the falcon and the fastest speed of the pheasant. So now let me use some variables. Let's use f to be the speed of the falcon. And let p be the speed of the pheasant. Then step 2 said to write equations, so let's go back to the word problem and read it again. It says a falcon can travel 5 times as fast as the pheasant's top speed. So this tells me that f, which is the falcon, is equal to 5 times the pheasant's top speed, which we called p. So that's our first equation. Then the second sentence says, if the total speed for these two birds is 222 miles per hour, so when we think about total, we think about adding. So that means we can take f plus p, and now equal 222 miles per hour. So now we have our equations. Step 3 is to solve. So we're going to take this f equals 5 times p, and we're going to place it into the second equation. So everywhere we see an f, we're going to put in 5p. So this will become 5p plus p equals 222. Now we get to solve for p, so we're going to combine our like terms. In front of this p is a 1, so 5 plus 1 is 6p. Which equals 222. And we can solve for p by dividing by 6. and we divide by 6, and we get P is 37 miles per hour. So the speed of the pheasant is 37 miles per hour. To find the speed of the falcon, we're going to go back to this F equals 5 times P, and we're going to replace the P with 37, and we can find out the speed of the falcon. So this can become 5 times 37, which is 185 miles per hour. And we can check it by taking the 37 plus 185, add them together, and it should equal 222. Now let's look at number 49. It says an Xbox 360 game system and several games are sold for $560. The cost of the Xbox 360 is 3 times as much as the cost of the games. And then it says find the cost of the Xbox 360 and the cost of the games. So we read the problem. Now we need to look for what they're trying to find. And they're interested in finding the cost of the Xbox 360 and the cost of the games. So I'm going to let X be the cost of my Xbox. And I'm going to let G be the cost of the games. So that's step 1. Now step 2 is to write out equations. Let's go back to the first sentence. It says an Xbox 360 game system and several games are sold for $560. That means the total is equal to $560. And remember, total was found by adding. So X plus G equals 560. And then the next sentence said the cost of the Xbox 360 is 3 times as much as the cost of the games. So that means X is equal to 3 times G, because the Xbox 360 is equal to, or is, 3 times as much as the games. So here are our 2 equations. So now step 3 was to solve. So again, we're going to take this 3G and replace it in for X. So everywhere you see an X in the top equation, we're going to put in 3G. So it has 3 times G plus G equals 560. Now we can solve this equation for G. We can combine our like terms. 3G plus 1G is 4G, and that's 560. And then we can solve for G by dividing by 4, divide by 4. And we get the cost of the games is equal to $140. Now we can go back and find the cost of the Xbox 360 by using X equals 3 times G, but instead of putting the G, we're going to put the 140, which means the Xbox 360 costs $420. And of course you can check it. If you take the cost of the games and you add the Xbox 360, it should equal the total cost, which was $560. And it does, so it's correct. Alright, so this will conclude our video for chapter 8.5. Please email me if you have any questions.